Viewer discretion advised.
A senseless murder. A father and son shot outside a Talladega home. The only witness, the victim's wife and mother. 4 years later, the grieving family is aching to learn who killed their loved ones, while investigators take a shot in the dark to find answers. I'm Jessalyn Adams, and this is Getting Warmer.
They took 2/3 of my family that night. My world was just devastated. I mean, and whose life wouldn't be devastated?
What do you want people to know about your son, about his life?
My son was one of the best men that a lot of people will tell you they've ever met. He was a good-hearted person. He was raised good, and he was a good-hearted person.
He was good-hearted, very sensitive, would do anything for anybody. If anybody needed help, all you had to do was call him and he would be there.
Known as simple, hard-working men, Ryan King and his stepfather John Lowe lived seemingly modest lifestyles. Ryan's mother had him when she was 17 years old. 12 years later, Ryan's stepfather John came into the picture. Tina and John lived on a rural Talladega County street in a sparsely populated area. Ryan visited his mother and stepfather frequently.
He's just there visiting his mom and his stepdad. Mr. Lowe had his own company where he, removed trees, brush, landscape clearing, stuff like that. Not exactly the sort of business that you really run into, criminal element so much. So it's really kind of hard to say what a motive would have been.
There was no reason for anybody to do this, no reason at all. I mean, neither one of them caused problems, neither one of them had drama in their life, neither one of them would have had any reason for anyone to contemplate hurting them, much less this.
It was a typical visit. Ryan and John spending time together outdoors, shooting for target practice. So when neighbors heard shots the night of their murders, initially, no one thought anything of it.
Talladega County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call November the 30th, 2015, 2800 block of Oakdale Road in Alpine, here in Talladega County. First deputy arrived and found two individuals on the scene, both suffering from gunshot wounds.
That first deputy on the scene was Sergeant Brett Miller.
It was just unusual. I don't remember ever having a double homicide in our county before, at least not while I've been here. This has been since 2004. Like I said, it's a small county. We just don't have those.
Tina called 911. She told investigators her husband and son were outside when a stranger walked up and aggressively began asking for directions to Truett Lane. And what happened next? Tina recalls the moments leading up to her heartache.
I did hear my husband giving him specific directions right up the road. But I could hear from inside where I was somebody repeating theirself, and that's what caused me to get up. And when I got up, I heard something going off that sounded like firecrackers, and I glanced in the sky and I see yellow. It never dawns on me that this has happened. I don't know how long surely it couldn't have been that long, but I noticed I wasn't hearing any talk whatsoever. And I saw my son laying on the ground. When I didn't get any response from hearing my child and didn't know where John was, I called 911 and I said, look, I think they've been shot. And I said, my son's not getting up. I said, he's going to die. He's going to die before y'all get here with the ambulance. And it seemed like it took forever for the ambulance to get there.
She came out all excited, screaming, as you would. I got her, she had neighbors across the street that came out, and I took her to them, across the street, and then secured the scene at that time.
After getting Tina away from the scene, Sergeant Miller began investigating.
Not seeing anything, as possible, and of course it did happen this time. But, you would think I would have seen something, or somebody would have seen something.
And someone did. A family friend who was leaving the Lowe's home after a visit nearly ran over a stranger walking on the road.
The family friend that was backing up, all I could see was, hey, somebody walking down the road, which is not necessarily uncommon in that area, but it's also not a common thing either.
Still, investigators focused on Tina's testimony to figure out what transpired. Her panic state made it difficult for law enforcement to get the full story.
Unfortunately, she's the only witness that we have to the actual events. And despite her being as upset as she was immediately following this and in the following days, it took a while to get a clear version of events. There was a lot of pieces told at different times that initially makes it appear that she's given several different stories. But when we were finally able to narrow it down and get the best interview that we could get from her, given the circumstances, it turns out that she's pretty much been telling the same story. It's just been broken up, and it does have the appearance that she did give different stories. But if any of it's fabricated, she's the only one that knows that right now.
Two men with no apparent enemies. Their unsolved murders, a subject of local gossip.
I know there's been a lot of speculation and rumors that the family members have told that they've heard involving drugs, various debts for different things. Just initially looking at it, you have two people minding their own business in their yard. A stranger walks up under a ruse of asking for directions and just begins shooting.
How likely is it, that just a random person just shoots two people for no reason?
I think it's very unlikely. Part of being able to get a break in this case is going to be establishing a motive.
Still in disbelief, Ryan King's father is left to wonder what happened that November evening.
I just got a call that said Ryan was shot and killed. Beyond that, that's the only true information, or the only information that I have is that he's no longer with us. So I've heard theories, but there's nothing. Supposedly somebody come up, shot his stepdad, and shot him multiple times. So beyond that, I don't know.
Investigators continue to scour the case file for anything they may have missed while they wait for someone to break their silence.
We want to at least find the person and get some kind of justice for the family, if you want to call it that. But when we can't do that, it's very frustrating. We take it personal. We take that personal because we're vested in it, even though we try not to be. You have a family there that's looking to you to help them. When you can't do that, or you're not able to for whatever reason it is, it's a personal thing, and it hurts. It does hurt us.
Tina Lowe and Larry King are vigilant in their search for an answer to the question that haunts them daily. Why?
Not knowing any answers, not having the closure, that makes it so much harder to even deal with. To not know who did it, and at least for me to sit in a courtroom and ask, why did you do, why?
Now I understand what closure is. Closure to me is at least the questions answered. It's not going to bring him back, but at least we will know who and why. Because right now the question is, why did it happen? Why did it happen to him?
I loved my husband, 20 years of marriage, but your child, it's not supposed to be that way. That's backwards. A child should have to bury the mother, not the other way around. And I had back-to-back funerals that day. And I could only imagine If I did not have God in my life, I can only imagine where I would be now. It wouldn't be sitting here talking with y'all.
Anyone with information on this case is asked to contact the Talladega County Sheriff's Office. That number is 256-761-2141, or you can leave an anonymous tip at www.talladegasheriff.com.